You're listening to the Patriot Nation podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation podcast, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of those shows on the Patriot Press Pass account. But tonight, it's the Patriot Nation podcast. It's your boy, Pat Lane, with my guy, Matt St. Jean. And tonight, we have a very special guest with us. He is from Go Long TD. He's got a fantastic Patriots article that we're going to talk about today. He also happens to be a Bills fan, so that's interesting. No?
Not a fan.
Okay, fan. Covers the Bills. Covers the Bills. Tyler Dunne.
About that in December 23. They'll confirm that series that came out.
That's a good point. I did forget about that. Tyler Dunne.
That was a great. I think I still reference things from that article with my friends. So
yes. Was that the 9/11? That was the 9/11 one, right?
Yeah. That's not a speech that you want to give. Usually, but I grew up in Western New York, and so it is. In your defense, Pat, like anybody who grew up in Western New York, like 99.9% of those people are gonna be a Buffalo Bills diehard. It's just sad, man. I got into sports writing at Syracuse, started working professionally right away, and all the fandom that was inside of me just dies off. It's like the curse of the sports writer.
That's what happens, man. You
start thinking like an analyst. You can't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, that's the 9/11 speech. Then, for Patriots fans, you'll remember the Caleb Williams, Ryan Poles laughing Drake May off the screen. That's Tyler Dunne, and now he's got a new Patriots article out, which
that one with the book he wrote, talking about
of course
tight ends and
that was
you
a
guys
great
are too good to me, man. You had me on to talk blood and guts and Gronk and Ben Coates and all these guys, and gave you a heads up on this piece that we had on Vrabes, Drake May. A dynasty that may or may not be constructed as we speak. It was fun, man. I love just digging through the ruins of a fallen empire. So to kind of sort through the rubble of everything Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo, and hey, you got to look to the past to predict the future. And a lot of people had a lot to say.
It's interesting. I want to kind of start at the beginning of the article because I think when you talk about what Vrabel is trying to build here, and he's trying to build this sense of accountability, but also this, that everyone is important and everyone in the organization is important. And I just love the towel story. I thought was great, and just the little anecdote about that I thought was kind of telling about what kind of who the Patriots want to be. And so just to kind of shed a little bit light on that, because that's really where the article starts. And I think I was like, okay, I can get behind this.
I appreciate that, man. And thanks so much to everybody out there for reading, subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, you can read like a handful of paragraphs at the top, but it's about 7,000 words. So hopefully it'll make your subscription worth it for those who want to join, because, talk to a lot of people, former execs, coaches, current players, coaches, and it is emblematic. Mike Vrabel told the players that, hey, if you're going to leave dirty washcloths on the shower floor, guess what? The equipment staff's just going to pick them up, wring them out, and they ain't going to wash them. And you're going to have to clean yourselves with your own dirty washcloths. Basically, the theme is you will get out of this team what you put into this team. And, so there is like the bigger picture symbolism, but there's also the fact that like quite literally a lot was breaking down. Which surprised me, talking to a coach from that 2024 staff. He had heard about Belichick and Brady and the mystique, and he was all excited. And he's like, man, I'm looking around, and a lot of stuff's pretty ancient here. Like the sauna that the coaches use, like 2x4s are literally splintering off, and there's trash everywhere. And so like they bring this stuff to Gerard Mayo, and he would fix these things, but then it eats up half of his day. Like coaches are getting these awful moving expenses, allowances. They can't even move their whole families. They eventually got that fixed, got it modernized. but it's eating up time out of Gerard Mayo's day. So there's a lot that goes into this series. But yeah, Mike Vrabel, he had a vision. That's the thing. Mayo didn't have a vision. Vrabel's done it. He knows what he wants, and he wastes no time getting it done.
You mentioned the 2x4s and the moving expenses and all that. I think one of the big discussions points that gets brought up by Patriots fans all the time is, the perception that the organization is cheap. And I think you read this article, and I think there's points where it's like, it seems like that might be a Bill Belichick thing, especially a guy who's been known for value at any cost for his entire career, looking to do things as efficiently as possible. Kraft being one who, isn't necessarily always willing to pay the money. And then also some of this seems like it's just organizational, it's been done one way for a while and things get lost when you try to change things. So what's your perception from talking to people? Like, is the organization cheap from the top down because of Kraft? Is this primarily a Bill thing? Is it, are people overreacting to things here? What do you think?
It's a great question, Matt, because that's all that was running through my mind when I was talking to this position coach about it all. Because in my head, my inclination is to blame ownership, right? Like, these are the billionaires. They have all the money. They can decide what to use that money on. But I think it's a Bill Belichick thing, because Bill Belichick really was the end all be all from 2000 to 2023. It's been Bill Belichick running the show through and through. The buck stops with him. Everything, like, they make a move to their coaching staff, he approves it. They want to change something at the building, he approves it. And look, all we have to do is look at his actions, because he ain't going to say much publicly. But when you're bringing back Joe Judge and you're bringing back Matt Patricia, and other teams are paying these guys, and you're giving them very, very important jobs and basically ruining Mac Jones, that kind of tells you how he operates. I think that they won so much, right? They're dominating the division, usually dominating the conference, winning 6 Super Bowls, doing it this way. So if you're able to win a lot of games and you don't have to pay money to fix a sauna or modernize your moving expenses, or just the little things that go into operating day to day to upgrade to 2023, 2024, 2025, if you've won it one way, I think the thinking internally is, well, why do you guys need all this? Bill was able to win without all this stuff. You don't need it. Yeah. And like this coach said, I forget the quote exactly, but he's like, yeah, well, we don't have Tom Brady. That's great, but we don't have Tom Brady. So I think that things are changing, right? Like the coach that I talked to was like, yeah, we didn't really have an analytics department. On previous teams, I had a question on a player or a concept or something, I could just go to this department, have clips spliced up. It's like, I couldn't do that here. The offensive line coach wanted like $15,000 worth of blocking sleds and pads, stuff that he had seen work for Bill Callahan, maybe the best offensive line coach of this era. And eventually he got it, but it was like documentation and approval and a bureaucratic, runaround just to get it done. So it's like this stuff would get done, but it took a lot of time and effort to get there. Where I think Mike Vrabel, being a head coach with the Tennessee Titans, been there, done that. You know what you want. You're not going to piss away the day on needless bullshit. Sorry, coaches shouldn't have to worry about this stuff,
right?
And I don't think they are. I think day one with that meeting that went viral, right? He's in front of the room and he's like, all right, you're not going to show up late to a meeting. If you're running late, let us know. If it becomes a theme, that's a problem. Turn your cell phone on silent, keep it in your bag. Don't do the thing where you pretend to cough. Like, it's very common sense stuff. I don't get the sense, guys, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't get the sense that Mike Vrabel's coming in as a drill sergeant either. I've done a lot of reporting around guys like Mike Zimmer and Matt Patricia, and a lot of those guys from that Belichick world, they try to be that drill sergeant. It doesn't work elsewhere. Obviously, Zimmer was his own cantankerous creature, but like a lot of different coaches for a lot of different teams go to that extreme, and it doesn't work with the modern day athlete. I think Vrabel can connect with players. There's a respect as a former player himself, and he's going to take the good elements that worked for Bill Belichick and the stuff that didn't work. I don't think he's afraid to change it up, because he's been with other organizations.
Right, and I agree with you, and I think you kind of see that. You see, obviously, the way he's handled Ramondre Stevenson, right? He's been, giving Ramondre Stevenson a ton of leeway. I go back to, and I've talked about 100 times on here, but I go back to, how he handled Borregales in game 2, right? Where he missed 2 extra points and gave him that long field goal down 3 to put them up 6. Or I'm sorry, up 3 to put them up 6. And, then gave him a game ball after the game. And, talks about that resiliency and talks about the fact that we're going to need these guys, And so I think it's really kind of indicative of who he wants to be and what he wants this team's identity to be. He also doesn't have all of his guys just yet. So he can't be a drill sergeant. If you walk into a locker room with guys that you didn't draft that aren't your guys and you start acting like a drill sergeant, they're going to be like, what are you, nuts? Who is this guy? It's different when they're your guys and, and you've drafted those guys and you have a relationship with them and you can hold them to a higher standard. That's one thing, but you can't just walk into an NFL locker room with a bunch of, millionaires and just say, nah, it's my way or the highway. Get out if you're not here. That doesn't work.
And I'm in Detroit right now, Pat. Like, I'm doing some more Lions stuff. This is a team I've gotten to know pretty intimately at go along, like since Dan Campbell started molding this team in his image. And what they really opened my eyes to is, for years and years and years and years watching this game, I just would think a coach comes in, a coach wants to install their culture, and a coach is trying to basically, dole out toughness pills to his players and give these rousing speeches and structure practice in a certain way. And it's like nature versus nurture, right? Like he can make these players tough. And the more you're around this game, the more you realize, like, that's a farce. Like, you just can't do that. Like, you need to find players who have that in them. Like, they innately want to run through that brick wall. So then when you give that speech, when you implement these rules, when you coach a certain way and it's fire and brimstone, they're going to react the right way. They're not going to tune it out and turn you off. Like, they will respond the right way because it's in them. And the Lions, they realize that, man. Like, they started on the offensive line. They drafted Penei Sewell. They rebuilt there. They built from the inside out. Jared Goff worked out. They kept drafting, kept signing guys. And, man, they are a direct reflection of everything Dan Campbell believes in. So I think Mike Vrabel maybe can get to that point in 2-3 years, but I think it's happening faster than even Mike Vrabel, Elliott Wolf, everybody involved with this team could have imagined. Would you go out and spend whatever the final dollar amount was, like 250, 260 million? Like they actively sign players who have just that fire burning inside them already and play with a certain violence. So I think that message is resonating sooner than they expect. And also, I think Drake May, I'm sure we'll get to Drake May. He's playing a hell of a lot better than they could have expected. I mean, this is a quarterback in one offense under Alex Van Pelt that's stressed. Footwork, a lot of precision there, lining up your feet with the timing of the routes and your eyes and all of that. But he wasn't asked to handle a lot mentally pre-snap. He didn't have to set the pass protection and call out the mic and do all this stuff. Josh McDaniels throws all of that on you, which is tough. There's a coach that was around Drake May in 24 that I talked to for this, and he's like, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. He's going to be a star, but he really thought it'd be a work in progress because it's a completely different way of playing the position. We're talking right now, 5 games in, he looks like a top 10, soon to be top 5 quarterback right now. He's going to be a star. I think it's the way he processes is so advanced that he's going to speed up this maturation process himself.
You mentioned the guys in the locker room too. I feel like you go back to early Belichick, and that's Willie McGinnis on defense being the guy in the locker room. If you want to leave the locker room, you got to go past him. That's Rodney Harrison when he comes in. And then I think one of the real underrated superpowers of the team was having Tom Brady be that guy, being a guy who could be a punching bag for Bill and then also turn those into the rah-rah moments. And guys are like, I remember the story about who's that? The old Broncos safety who came to the Patriots in 08. John Lynch. He came in, and after the 07 season, the Brady has first day of training camp, Bill has a low lights reel of Tom Brady ready to go, and he berates him in front of everyone. And always like, Lynch is like, oh, they do that here? And that kind of fires everyone up because they're bought into it. And then I look at the group that they have now and like, the guys they brought in, like Morgan Moses and Milton Williams, who's like that, Robert Spillane, who's like that. I don't think we expected Stephon Diggs to be one of those guys, but he absolutely has been so far this year. And they're clearly grooming May to become one of those guys. They're clearly asking him to take on that leadership role. And I think for him, he's taking on that leadership role emotionally. And then there's the X's and O's. And we talked about on the show, I didn't think he was going to be this guy until maybe November or December. And he seems to have he had a real rough week 1 with McDaniel's offense, and ever since then he's been playing at a top 10 level. It's incredible. Like I had high hopes, and I didn't think he was going to pick it up this fast.
Yeah,
but I think we all knew that he had these physical gifts. He had athleticism. He had a big arm. I think the assumption was that Drake May was raw, that he was a project, that maybe he should sit a full year and learn. Hey, it worked for Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. It's old fashioned the way to mold a quarterback that way, but he was so raw that I think that even people in that Patriots building with Drake May's best interests at heart looked at him and said, this is for the best. But they realized very quickly he is a genius. There are people there who think he's the smartest person in the building, Drake May, at 22, now 23. And it's a matter of, okay, yeah, he can go up to the line of scrimmage and he can know everybody's jobs. He can set the pass protection. He knows the routes. He knows how they're going to react. But it's also post snap and his spatial awareness and that ability to kind of keep your eyes forward and know all the action in your peripheral vision that's going on. That is so difficult for a veteran to do, let alone somebody in their second year. So I think that I think Josh McDaniels is psyched. I talked to Ashton Grant. I know he's psyched because he's got that superpower on top of the big arm and the ability to extend a play. But maybe what I love most about Drake May, especially on the heels of all of our Caleb Williams coverage to go along, he's open to hard coaching. Like, right. It's okay if you get on this guy. Like, he wants it. He relishes it. His quarterbacks coach brought up, like, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, the best of the best. They want that hard coaching. And, that don't assume that all quarterbacks are like that. They most certainly aren't.
Right.
The one in Chicago walked right away from his coaches if they were too hard on him. Maybe that's changing with Ben Johnson because he knows he's got to respond or else he's out of there. So he could develop, he could mature. But year 1, it sure as hell wasn't like that. I think Drake May, if there is one fault, if you're looking to try to find something in him, what I was told is he's unbelievably loyal. Like, it was hard for Drake May to replace Jacoby Brissett. Like, that was his best friend. He knew the real story behind the scenes, that the quarterback really wasn't the main problem. They had a lot of other stuff going on. And to me, it's an endearing character trait to love your teammate to that degree that it's hard to replace him. But don't get it twisted. He's competitive as hell. And I think you saw that against the Bills Sunday night.
Yeah. He's playing at another level right now. And it's great to see. And it's one of those things that you're just like, all right, like, this is, as you said, if he's playing as a top 10 quarterback, you feel like all of a sudden your life becomes a lot easier, By the way, Ashton Grant, Assumption grad, my alma mater. But
hey.
But it's one of those things for me that I really think, and I love the look into, kind of what happened at the end, a little bit of what happened with Mayo. You kind of go back to the end of the Belichick era, talk about the Mayo era a little bit, and then just talk about what's happening in this Vrabel era right now. You talked to Antonio Gibson and Morgan Moses kind of at length about what they're doing and what things look like and what they want. And I think that, you feel that building. You feel what's happening out there, right? You watch, the Patriots on Sunday night against the Bills, and you watch the way that they rally to the football on defense and the way that they work and support each other, and you see them in the locker room. And I think, the stuff for me where, like, Hunter Henry scores a touchdown, right? And as he scores a touchdown, he comes off the field, and the first thing that Vrabel says to him is, "Hey, Pop sprung you. Go tell Pop he made a great block." And he goes over and tells Pop he made a great block. Then Ramondre scores a touchdown. The first thing that Vrabel says to him as he comes off, he says, "Hey, Hunter made a great block on that. Make sure you go over and thank Hunter for that." And so he goes over and like, it's it's accountability, but it's also appreciating the guys around you. And I think that, that draws the team closer together. And sometimes team chemistry matters so much more. You can get more out of a team if they have that chemistry and they work together well than if they're just, 53 guys and 53 cabs, right? It's just like that's just not the way. It's not, successful, I think. And I think that's what he's trying to build here. And so far he's been successful with it. Now, again, if you're not winning and think, okay, that obviously can then be an issue. But right now, the way things are going, it's looking pretty rosy right now.
I get. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Building off that, I think one of the biggest takeaways from your article, there's this overall theme of like Vrabel trying to instill motivation in multiple ways in his players. It's him being an example by showing how physical he is and how much he loves the game, that guys want to be at their best for him. Set an example. You mentioned just like the washcloths and picking up after yourself and telling guys, if you don't want to work this hard, if you don't want this, we're going to find something else for you, because I want guys who are bought into this, getting guys to want it for themselves. And then the accountability from your teammates, wanting to do the little things because you're going to hear the praise from the guys around you. Just any work environment, you're always going to be more effective if you're able to be motivated in multiple ways from multiple directions and also internally. And cultivating that in people, regardless of environment, is going to get the best out of them. And Vrabel definitely, it's interesting because you do mention that Vrabel has this kind of cachet with the players because he was a former player. Mm-hmm. I do find it interesting that it seems like maybe that wasn't there with Gerard Mayo, even though he's also a former player. I don't know if there's more details on that, but it seems like Vrabel is very effective at delivering that messaging and getting the best out of his guys.
Yeah, that definitely was intriguing to me too, talking to these guys, because Gerard Mayo did play. He was just there. And that we have memories of him as a linebacker in the middle of Super Bowl defenses as well. And I think that he was actually pretty good in front of the room speaking to players. That surprised me, talking to people. They said, no, that really wasn't his fault. But he didn't know what he didn't know as a head coach. Like, all Gerard Mayo knew was Bill Belichick's way of running business and the way he structured practice and the way he talked in front of a room and all of that. And I think that lack of perspective really hurt him in the end. He had some new faces on that coaching staff, guys who had failed, as head coaches and coordinators. Ben McAdoo, Alex Van Pelt. And I think that he didn't necessarily listen to these outside voices when, what hit the fan, when things are falling apart and the roof's caving in and the foundation is caving in. He reverted back to familiar faces and people who had been there forever. And that didn't help, And I think with Mike Vrabel, that what's interesting, yeah, he'll be hard on guys, but he can be hard on guys because I think they know it's coming from such a genuine place. Like, he's really trying to get to know these players as human beings, 1 through 53. Now, you can't have therapeutic sessions with 53 players as a head coach every day. It's hard to have substantive conversation. But, Brendan Schooler, he's been there for Belichick, Mayo, and Vrabel. He really sees a head coach who's trying to connect with players on a personal level. Dan Quinn is a great example in Washington. When he took over the Commanders, he told his assistant coaches, like, don't even talk football with these guys, with your players, for whatever it was, 2 weeks. Just get to know them as people, because if you get to know them as people, like, when you do have to ride their ass, when you do have to be hard on them, when you have to, like, drive home a point, they're going to know it comes from a good place. So I think there's an element of that with Vrabel, but more than anything, when you then throw in the former player stuff, when he's holding the pad and he's letting an offensive lineman just drive him into the dirt if they dare, if they can, like, guys respect that. Guys love seeing him getting into that training camp scuffle and getting a bloody nose. Like, May loved it in the moment. Like, that stuff has a galvanizing effect. And I think that it really did begin with that first speech in the offseason, talking about accountability, to the private meetings where you're saying, pick up your dirty washcloths, to training camp, to the games. I mean, Pat, your point on letting the kicker kick, letting the running back carry the ball after fumbles, like, that trust does kind of matter. Now, if it continues, you probably want Ramondre Stevenson on the bench, but like there is a genuine connection gradually building and building and building that feeds into the ethos of a winning football team.
And I think too, Not to go all the way back to 2001, but I think that, there is some truth to the fact that Mayo kind of writes it into his contract that he's the successor of Belichick when Belichick leaves, and then Belichick kind of falls apart quicker than people expected, and so now Mayo takes over, and it's kind of this weird situation where people are looking at it saying, like, I don't know, do we really think that he's the guy? And we didn't interview anyone else, and we feel like he's the guy. And I think, interestingly, for me, I always go back to the Tuck rule and how that was such a huge play, because if the Patriots lose that game, I believe that Bill Belichick trades Drew Bledsoe in the offseason and they stick with Tom Brady. But I also believe that the locker room may not have been 100% behind Tom Brady if that had been the case. And so now you're dealing with a locker room that's a little bit divided, because you have Bledsoe, who had been there for years and had a ton of people that were there that loved him and that respected him. And then you're dealing with, they haven't won a Super Bowl, and so you don't have that cachet anymore as a quarterback or a head coach. And so thankfully we don't know what would have, there's no way to know what would have happened if that were the case, but it certainly kind of felt that way, that he might trade Brady, but how will it have worked out? And in this kind of same situation where, if Belichick had stayed for another 3 or 4 years, had broken the wins record and retired himself, it might have been a little different feel for Gerard Mayo taking over for him. But because of the way things happened and because of how sour Belichick was about it, you kind of feel like, oh, Mayo was going behind everyone's back and getting this deal done, behind everyone's back and doing this stuff. And when he reporting to Kraft about what Belichick was doing and all this stuff is around the team, and the players hear that. And so it just never has a chance to work. And to your point, he doesn't have anyone in the building. I mean, he had Jamie Collins, who, listen, I'm sorry, not Jamie Collins, Dunne Hightower, who, again, phenomenal Patriots linebacker. Love the guy. He's a Patriots Hall of Famer. He was coaching the inside linebackers. He had never coached a day in his life ever. He didn't even coach high school football. So, you just can't jump into coaching inside linebackers, especially with a first-year head coach doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So it was destined to fail from the beginning, and some of that was on Kraft, and some of that was on Mayo, and some of that was on Belichick, and it was kind of all wrapped up together to be a mess. And now I feel like we have a chance to work out.
Do you know when Belichick found out that Mayo had that in his contract?
That probably surprised me as much as anything through all of our reporting. Is I just assumed that Belichick knew, like, whenever that was slipped into Gerard Mayo's contract, that it was like an understanding and, passing of the torch, coach to player, and that, Belichick's kind of taking Gerard Mayo under his shoulder and it's showing him the way. Like, it was not that at all. I was told Belichick had no clue that was put in his contract. And that the last year and a half, Belichick didn't even talk to Gerard Mayo. Like, they did not have a good relationship at the end. So I'm guessing, like, when I asked, okay, is it because he found out about this and was pissed off about it? And that was kind of the understanding. But yeah, I think that at the end, Belichick was just a cranky, ornery old man, right? Like, he losing sucks. He was losing more games than he ever lost. Guys that he drafted were terrible. Signings didn't pan out. He ruined Mac Jones by bringing in old cronies because he didn't want to pay good coaches to, like, groom this guy. It was a total mess. And early in his career, and this is all in the story if people want to check it out, like Romeo Crennel, Dante Scarnecchia, Scott Pioli, Charlie Weiss, like these early coaches and coordinators and execs, like, they would call out his BS. They would tell him, no, we're not drafting that player. You're nuts. We're not signing that player. You're nuts. You're not doing this behind the scenes. And he would listen. Like, I think he did listen for a while. But I think as time passed, as the Super Bowls added up, as the ego became more inflated, he did surround himself with enablers and yes men, yes women. And, the Jordan Hudson conversation is something we can't just gently slide into this Patriots conversation. It's more of an atomic bomb, but I think that does kind of factor into it to an extent. I don't think anybody is saying, "Hey, Bill, what the hell are you doing here?"
Right.
It is a little odd,
Well, it's just, and and I don't know, if it's Ernie Adams, but you look at even like he sends the letter, and I know they end up winning the Super Bowl afterwards, but he sends the letter to Trump saying, and it's like, and Devin McCourty said after the fact, like, he is telling us to stay out of the media and stay out of the press and don't say anything. And he's writing a letter to a presidential candidate. Like, so we're supposed to stay out of it, but he doesn't have to stay out of it. It's like, what? And regardless of what your politics are, it's like, that doesn't matter. That's not the point. Like, we're told don't involve and don't engage, and you're engaging at the highest level you possibly can. And it's just like, the rules have to apply to everyone here, Bill.
Did he tell his players for years and years and years, don't be a distraction?
Right.
What is he right now? He's like the biggest distraction in college football.
Right.
Like it's a total mess.
Yeah.
I am curious, after all this research, what is your perspective on the UNC situation? Does it surprise you at all?
Yes and no. Like I still had in the back of my brain, fellas, like, this is the greatest coach of all time, and he's going to college football. And I just picture him still as like this mad scientist that is going to figure stuff out, that is going to dwarf anything that anybody could ever throw at him on a Saturday. Personnel be damned. Like, he is the greatest coach of all time. So I don't know, though. Times change. The sport changes. Not just X's and O's. Like, how you operate behind the scenes has to change. And he just hasn't. Right? Like, when the Atlanta Falcons thing didn't work out, teams, I think they basically looked at him like, we're not going to let you come in and drop a bomb in our building and start over and do it your way. It was so bad at the end of New England that I think the red flags went up. The Atlanta experiment, however that went down, that was terrible. And maybe we shouldn't be surprised that it's not going well in North Carolina, because this isn't 2014 even. This isn't
Right.
2016. And you, again, who ends up looking the best out of this whole situation? Tom Brady.
Oh yeah.
That was
Tom Brady looks pretty good right now.
We got, back when the Dynasty came out, we got an advanced viewing of that, got to watch it and talk about it. And I think our biggest takeaway was that the only person who looks good out of this whole thing is Tom Brady. Like, Kraft looks, he almost runs the team like a mob boss in some ways, where it's based on loyalty and like doesn't seem to understand the way he comes off about things. And I don't think he put Bill in a good position with that documentary. Bill's the only person interviewed in the entire documentary who still works for the teams. He's the only one that can't be fully transparent about things. But at the same time, the perspective on Bill from a lot of the players is like, they love him, they respect him, and they were also a little confused about some of the things that were happening. And I think the biggest difference you see from Bill Belichick in 2001 to Bill Belichick in 2021 is, I think he just had less people around him that he trusted as advisors, and the circle kept getting smaller and smaller, and his ego kind of kept getting bigger and bigger as part of that, which I think leads to some of the stuff with he and Brady butting heads after 2016, and leads into all of the stuff that comes on. Like you mentioned, the asking Matt Patricia to do as much as he did, and the budget aspect of that. But I also look at it and like, I wonder if it's not cost. I wonder if it's just, Matt Patricia's the only guy he trusts to do these things, and he's not willing to bring in other people and try it a different way. Yeah.
Also, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but we had Matthew Hamachek, who directed the Dynasty on a few times. And I think that documentary is just so misunderstood, because he said on the show, I wanted to tell the story of the breakup of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, because what a story that is. And it's a story that really hadn't been told before. And so he's like, we could tell the story of the Patriots and how great their dynasty was, but he's like, I wanted to tell the story of the end of the dynasty. And, that's what he did. And everyone hated it, because it's like, well, you made Belichick look like an asshole. And it's like, well, Belichick kind of was an asshole. Like, it just, I don't know. And it's one of those funny things where, like, we see what's happening in UNC, and it's like, anyone want to apologize about being upset about that documentary? Like, I don't know. Like, it just, it's just kind of funny. And so it really is kind of interesting to see the way things ended and how things are going at UNC. It's kind of very similar to the dysfunction and what the heck was happening. And I think, for me personally, Ernie Adams was there. He left after the draft in 2021. And that, to me, is the moment that and I really think he was screwed up in 2019 big time. But I think the biggest moment for me was from 2021 on. It was a disaster. And it was losing Ernie Adams to me. That really changed things and really kind of made things so much worse than they were.
Well, I think
Josh
Patricia
McDaniels
was his
too.
Ernie Adams replacement too. Like that was the issue that
yeah.
Patricia's his Ernie Adams
Right.
replacement and
Right.
his Josh McDaniels replacement and his like Dante Scarnicchi replacement and like you can't. I mean, it's hard to replace any of those people individually.
And everyone says Matty P is a great guy and super smart and everything, but he can't do all that stuff by himself.
Well, he is so fascinating too. Like I said, being out here in Detroit a bunch, and talking to those players on the transition from Patricia to Campbell. And one side of their mouth, they would say how much they loved Matt Patricia, like walking around the building. He was personable, he was friendly. But then they get out to the practice field, and it was like he just put on the Halloween mask and became somebody else. And it wasn't authentic. It wasn't real. He was trying to be a hard ass, and it didn't resonate because he wasn't being himself. He wasn't being the guy inside the building. So it didn't work out. And, the Belichick stuff, football is a microcosm of society. It's like, think of all of us and all of our lives and, how important it is to have people in your life call you out on your bullshit. That's what our wives do. That's what our parents do. Like we need somebody like that to pick up on our blind spots. Like you don't know what you don't know. You don't see what you can't see. And I just think that presence just evaporated, to your point, Pat, evaporated from the ecosystem there in New England to the point where, whatever Bill Belichick said was just taken as fact with no rebuttal at the end. The example that I gave from somebody in the building was Nick Folk, where he struggled with kickoffs. Remember the 2 Nyheim Hines returns for touchdowns the week after DeMar, and it was a big thing there in Buffalo. And Bill Belichick was so pissed off with his lack of ability to just kick it out of the end zone. Never mind that nobody could tackle Hines, that he did not want him back. Well, you look at the stats. I mean, no kicker's been better than Nick Folk statistically since then. The Patriots drafted a kicker, and he didn't last long. So I think that kind of thinking permeated many roster decisions at the end of Belichick.
I don't think, Oh, and we were hearing things about that. Yeah, I think 2019 draft. You look at the N'Keal Harry selection. Felt like similar things of shutting other people out. Cole Strange, and that decision. So it's easy to point to like specific milestones, like Ernie Adams leaving or coaches leaving as points to this, but bigger picture with Belichick. He did say at one point he only wanted to coach until he was 70 years old, and he went past that. And like, I imagine a certain amount of this is just as you get older, there's certain things your brain isn't as good at doing anymore. And like, all right, if you combine that with a smaller circle of people you trust around you and, a decade more success from where you started that has changed your perception of things, like it's no wonder. And the thing is, like, you mentioned that Bill's words taken as gospel. There's a reason for that. He's pretty good at this.
Right.
So if you're following that, you're still probably going to win a lot of games for a long time. The problem is that all of a sudden the roster bottoms out when you lose, multiple Hall of Famers to, leaving or retirement or whatever. And now you're trying to replace those guys, and it's a one-person effort trying to replace those. And it's hard enough to do that when you've got a team full of experts behind it. If you're trying to do all of that with one guy running the show, you need to be extremely lucky all at once.
I got to think that even Belichick was worn out by the end too. Like even somebody so obsessed with the sport's got to get tired, right? Like,
I mean, you'd think so, but he went to UNC, so
yeah.
No one goes from like coaching college football is a much higher like level of energy that you need for that. Was just how much of a full year gig that is.
Well, I think
nobody does that because when they're tired.
I think it comes back to the ego, right? That he wanted to prove that he could do it. And, more so than anything else, he was just trying to prove that he could do it. And it hasn't looked good so far. We'll see. They made a statement saying they're behind him and he's committed, but that's never good when you got to make that statement. It's not great.
Did you see someone made a meme after that, and it had the logos of every other team in the ACC that said, and we also stand behind UNC's decision to keep Bill Belichick.
Well, we lost our quarterback to an Achilles at Syracuse, so I don't know how it's going to go down. Not looking good for my Orange.
That's
Oh boy.
brutal. Yeah, I will say it is kind of crazy that we're here in 2025, like 7 years, not even a full 7 years removed from the last Patriots Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, like it's still pretty close in the rearview mirror, and just the way the perception of Belichick, I think, has changed with Patriots fans. Even from like a year ago, it's crazy how quickly I feel like this has shifted. I was talking in a group chat with some friends who are not Patriots fans, and I was like sending all the updates on the Belichick drama this week, and they were like, "Wait, why do you keep sending this? Like, aren't you supposed to be the one defending him?" And I was like, "Oh, like you don't understand the way that things have changed among Patriots fans and their perception."
It definitely has. You're right. I've picked up on that. I think, and it's changed fast.
Yeah,
Like, just
I think
like in a month.
Denying the Patriots scouts access, I think, was a big turning point of like, oh, well, he's actively doing something to try to hurt the current iteration of the New England Patriots that I'm actively rooting for. Like, this isn't about drama between him and Brady or between him and Kraft. Like, this is something that impacts the day-to-day operations of the team that I still watch every single week, and I think that resonated with people.
Yeah. I agree.
No doubt.
So, well, Tyler, this has been great. Anything else you want to add about the article in particular that you want? Because I know you so much research went into it. And one of the things, and I mentioned this to you off air, but one of the things that I love about your articles is that there's so much attention to detail. And, you're talking to a ton of different people, and you're kind of giving anecdotes that people haven't heard before. And I think that, the level of detail there is great and worth the subscription, in my opinion. If you're not out there, subscribe. So I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else you wanted to kind of fill us in on that's in the article.
Too kind. Checks in the mail, fellas. Thank you so much. No, hey, the way I look at it, like fans are the ones spending ridiculous amounts of money on beer and parking and game tickets, and for these fans to just be fed a bunch of BS at a podium and poll tested massage narratives, it doesn't seem right. Like, I try to go along a place that will just relentlessly pursue the stuff that the teams may not want out there, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. There's a real NFL behind the scenes that is very Thronesian. So there's a lot with these Patriots, and I'm sure I scratched the surface. I'm sure there's even more. But I think that, what people can take away too is, in addition to everything we talked about with Belichick and Mayo and how bad it was at the end, it does really genuinely seem like Vrabel has a plan, has a vision. And what has me more excited than anything is the way that Drake May is wired and works and can take on this Josh McDaniels offense and bring it to life. So, the whole story's there at golongtd.com. It's called Patriot Reign, how Mike Vrabel and Drake May can restart a dynasty of their own. And also caught up with Travion Henderson when I was out there, and he's got a absolutely wild story that I had no clue about. Really opened up about his transformation, being haunted, in his words, by literal demons at night, floating at the top of his bedroom. And he's in a state of sleep paralysis.
My goodness.
And it lingered into college. And it took an injury in college for him to get right with the Lord and embrace Jesus Christ. And he became unbelievably spiritual and turned his life around in a multitude of ways. You can see why Mike Vrabel likes a Travion Henderson to draft him. Now we'll see if he likes him to get him the ball, right? That's a big thing out there. Right. Incorporated into the offense, but he's absolutely, a key cog and all this cultural stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and it's there's a lot of people out there, including fantasy owners, that are like, just give the guy the ball, would you please? But it is, he's been, not as good as we were hoping for, but I think the potential is there, and so I'm hoping that they stick with him and get him the ball as much as they possibly can.
Easy guy to root for.
Marathon of a season, right?
Yeah, so. Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. Really appreciate it. And again, everyone go out there and subscribe to golongtd.com and read Patriot Reign and everything else he's got on there, because again, do you want to go back and read about the Bears laughing Drake May off the screen and revel in that horrendous decision by the Bears, and us continuing to prove them wrong over and over and over again? It's pretty nice. So
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for having me, and let's make sure we don't wait three years till the next time.
That sounds good to me, my friend. All right, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Take care. All right, let's do a quick ad read, and then we'll get into our preview. This ad read, of course, is for Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best place to turn your football knowledge into real money. The number one fantasy sports app, daily fantasy sports app, on the internet. Make sure you get out there. Now, one of the things that Prize Picks is doing, they're the only app that offers stacks, which means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You can pick more on Drake May for passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns. You can do all 3 if you want, which is fantastic. You can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend or a celebrity partner or just someone whose picks that you like, you can hit the follow button and check out every lineup. I wouldn't recommend following me, but you never know. Maybe I'm back on track this week. You never know. Again, my favorite, those are great. I also love the fact that you can mix and match lineups, right? We have baseball's going on right now. Yankees are out. See ya. Yankees, Phillies lost tonight in a horrendous fashion. But we have baseball going on. We have hockey going on right now. We're going to have basketball going on soon. So you can combine all of those with football if you'd like and make one lineup out of that, which is great. So what you're going to do is download the app Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS, and you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, Matt.
I want to pick up something that he said before I forget it.
Yes.
I want to just make a connection. He talked about a lot in the article about Drake May's spatial awareness and how that factors in for him. His ability, we saw it on the winning drive Sunday night, and I think it connected some dots for me from the scouting evaluation because you look at his history. He also used to play basketball. And when you play basketball as a passer, you have to have that spatial awareness, especially I think May was a forward. So he's probably playing in the post. So you got to know where guys are all around you, be able to play in traffic and just get the ball somewhere. It doesn't matter how the ball gets to the guy. It just has to get to the guy. And I think you saw that on his college tape. I just didn't really know how to articulate that when we were explaining it before. But I think basketball contributed to that increased spatial awareness. That means that he can just play in tight windows and in weird situations. And it just doesn't faze him. He's just so used to have bodies flying around him in tight spaces that he can just execute.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, you see this Giants score?
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. They picked off Hurts. They're going for it on 4th down. Oh, they picked it up. By the way, I forgot to mention my Prize Picks lineup. My Prize Picks lineup for this week, JSN, more than 4.5 receptions. Drake May, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. And Quinshawn Judkins, more than 77.5 rushing yards. That's mine. You can follow that. Maybe you follow it. Maybe you follow it and you feel good about it. But nevertheless. All right, let's get into this Saints game. And I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Nikhil. Trap game alert. Trap game alert. I will say, for the Patriots, in their credit, they mentioned that right off the top. And I think Stephon Diggs, one of the, his quote this week, I loved because he basically said, I think a win this week would be more impressive than a win last week. Last week, all eyes were on us. We're Sunday Night Football. We're trying to prove ourselves. We're trying to prove that we can do it. And now this week, we just did it, right? We just did it, and we have to go out there and prove it wasn't a fluke. And, you're going against – he didn't say this, but I'll say it. You're going against a team that kind of sucks, right? And so you have to show that, hey, I'm going to stick. We're still here. We're still focused. And, that to me, is so incredibly important. And, I'm glad that they have this mindset. Also, the Eagles just fumbled again. Outrageous. Outrageous.
So funny. Yeah, it's when I was like the Saints team isn't good. They're not a good team, but they're like stuck in this weird area where they're like they're I feel like they're gonna upset some team this year.
Yes.
Like the defense, they're top 10. What are they? They're fifth in the NFL. Yeah, in takeaways.
Say they're good
Defense. Yeah, they force turnovers. They don't turn the ball over a lot themselves. Spencer Rattler isn't exceptional, but he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, I'd say. They got some speed at receiver. So, and I think their record is deceiving. They're 1-4 on the season. They lost against Arizona in what was a one-score game where they outgained the Cardinals. They lost the 49ers by 5 points in a very close game. They got killed at Seattle. Make no mistake, they got destroyed at Seattle. Even that one, though, involved special team scores and stuff. And they went to Buffalo, and it was a one-score game in Buffalo late. And then they just beat the Giants. So, I think this is a team that's better than their record, better than you think they are when you just kind of think of the name, but also definitely worse than the Patriots team that we've seen play through the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And so, we'll see. I mean, again, it's a situation where you feel like the Patriots should go in and win. This is a game that they should win. On paper, they're a better team. Spencer Rattler is fine, but the Patriots should be able to stop them. The big thing for me is they have Chris Olave, who's a phenomenal receiver, and they have Rashid Shaheed, who's just faster than everyone. And so can you contain those two guys? They still have Alvin Kamara, who, by the way, Alvin Kamara, for me, is a really interesting trade candidate. He's a little bit older. If the Chiefs are looking to rebuild, they might be looking to move on from him. The Patriots need another running back. I think he'd be an interesting fit for what the Patriots want to do, and he's expensive, but he's not that expensive.
It's more so, I think it's more so the cost next season on his contract than the cost this season, if I'm remembering.
It is. That's definitely true. And that's definitely fair, right? Because the hit on his contract next year is fairly big. I believe it's $18 million cap hit next year. So certainly not ideal, right? And it's fully guaranteed. So almost fully guaranteed. So the dead cap is $18 million as well. You don't save anything from cutting him next year. So,
well, no, you would, because the Saints, I think, would absorb that if they trade him away. The portion that would become dead. Yeah,
that's a fair point.
So you can move on from him. The problem is you just need someone that's willing to take that, I guess.
Right. Right.
I think the Patriots could make some sense as a trade partner. It's all going to depend on how much, with what draft capital we're talking. Somebody else might get more aggressive. He's also, I think, having a slightly down year by his standards. He hasn't been awful.
No, he's been fine, but he hasn't been great.
He's not the Kamara from a couple of years ago. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I think this is an interesting matchup for the Patriots. I think one of the more interesting things here, defensive coordinator for the Saints is Brandon Staley. And the Saints defense has played better by their overall coverage grade by PFF is 7th in the NFL. Their defense overall is not that great. I think largely because they don't really have a pass rush at all. But on the back end, they're fine. They're not I don't even think they're as good as this Bills unit probably. I think Sean McDermott's a better defensive coach, and those guys are better, ready to go. But the Saints are pretty competent on the back end, and they're going to throw some stuff at you, and it'll be a mix of zone coverages. So nothing that May hasn't seen probably so far this year, but it'll just be another lesson in, consistently being able to dissect some of these coverages.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, we'll see him grow a little bit more, I think, as this goes on. And listen, as he keeps playing, there's more and more tape out there on what the Patriots want to do and what he's doing in this Josh McDaniels offense. And so the defense will have more things to key on and, more things to try to stop. And so it's going to be interesting to kind of see how the push and pull happens. But Drake May's been playing awesome. He's been playing fantastic. I think he's the second quarterback in NFL history to have, which it's a little ridiculous, but nevertheless, second quarterback in NFL history to have 74% completion percentage, 200 plus passing yards, and 100 plus QB rating in 3 straight games. Him and Tom Brady, that's it. It's pretty impressive, right? Pretty impressive. And again, he's not Tom Brady. We're not trying to say he's Tom Brady. No one should be saying he's the next Tom Brady, because no one's the next Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the only Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But what Drake May is doing is exactly what you wanted him to be doing. And the fact that he's doing it after 5 games this season is very encouraging. And it's you feel hopeful that he's going to continue doing this for the rest of the season, and it's not a fluke these first 5 games, right? It could be, I suppose, but you're hopeful that that's not the case, and they continue building on that. Right now, injuries happen and things happen, but overall, I feel pretty good about where they're headed.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, officially Antonio Gibson torn ACL,
yes,
which we anticipated, but he has not been put on injured reserve yet. So I wonder if they're just waiting until, closer to the game to make some kind of a move, activate someone else. We'll see how they handle it. They brought in running backs this week and didn't sign anyone. I'm guessing Terrell Jennings just ends up being
that's what it seems like
an elevation for the week, and then you go from there. It's the likeliest outcome.
Based on his comments, that's certainly what it sounded like.
Yeah. For other injuries, Jalen Hawkins missed practice. He missed practice last week and then played. He missed practice today. We'll see if he's good to go. Keon White missed practice with an elbow injury.
Keon White, no.
He did not finish the game Sunday. But Anthony Jennings also missed practice. I saw Mike Reese tweeted that Braden Swinson's getting some love in the building. He said the last 3 weeks he's been looking better.
That's good.
We're looking at practice squad elevations. If Jennings and White can't go on Sunday, I wonder if Swinson gets an elevation, gets a chance to play in this one.
Yeah,
which I think would be a great opportunity for him. We've been saying that second edge defender spot is one where they're still looking for someone to really, Chasen's the best of the guys they've put there so far, but he hasn't exactly locked down that role. So
right.
I would love for someone like Swinson to take this opportunity, or Elijah Ponder too, as a rookie UDFA, to take that and run with it. So maybe one of them can do that this week.
Yeah, let's hope so. Jason has been okay, I guess, but he certainly hasn't been great.
He's super inconsistent. His good plays are really good. He's had some really, against Pittsburgh, he single-handedly shut down a series for a run stuff and then a pressure, and forced a 3 and out. And then he'll, get an interception return because he lines up offsides. Yeah.
Right.
And it's just, you can't, it's not a trade-off that's working out for you. If he can clean things up, I think he can be that guy. But, they need someone, I think, to emerge there. Other injuries. Caleb Jason's also been limited in practice.
Yeah.
Farmer and Milton Williams.
Gonzalez was limited today, but according to Ben Volen, he re-injured himself.
Yes, according to Mike Reese, it's a scheduled. It's not even a rest day. I think they had him just kind of training on the side to work on his hamstring. So
yeah,
keep it loose. So whatever he has to do to manage that. I'm curious what they do coverage-wise this week, because these Saints receivers, Rashid Shaheed is fast. Chris Olave is a very good route runner, and then they got Brandon Cooks as their third receiver. He's not Brandon Cooks anymore, but he can play.
Yeah. I
wonder how they match that up. You can probably match things up the way you want to, is my guess. I think Christian Gonzalez athletically can play on. I wonder if what you do is you put Christian Gonzalez and Marcus Jones on Olave and Shaheed in either order, and maybe have Carlton Davis stay with Brandon Cooks.
Sure.
Just speed-wise, that might make the most sense.
That could work.
Man coverage.
That certainly could work. I would like that.
Yeah. The Saints offense, though, is not their offensive line is not good, and the Patriots defensive line is good. So that
Yeah.
they should control things there.
Well, you would certainly hope so. And on the other side, the Patriots' offensive line has been good. They haven't been great running the ball, but they've been good pass protecting. And you would hope with a weak Saints pass rush that it should be a week that, they're able to kind of do those things. We'll see, but that's the hope, at least, that they're able to throw the ball around a little bit and, not that Drake May's going to sit in the pocket or anything like that, but, have some time and make some plays. So we'll see, but that's the hope, at least.
By PFF grade, the Saints defense is the worst in the NFL at both tackling and pass rush.
Well, that's not ideal.
Why not? Yeah, I think you want to avoid a trap game here with things like that. It's just avoid the dumb stuff.
Right.
The Saints will lose this game themselves as long as you give them the opportunity to.
Right.
So don't put the ball on the ground. Don't throw it to them. Don't catch the ball when it's thrown to you and just get upfield with both hands on it. And
well, listen, the Steelers did the same thing. Steelers gave you the game, and you gave right back to them. And so you have to go out and play clean football and play smart football. And if you do that, you're going to win this game, and you might win this game easily. But, you have to show up, really, is what it comes down to. And this is the start of a very easy stretch for the Patriots. And again, it's the NFL, so no games are necessarily easy, right? You're playing against actual NFL football teams. But you have 3 straight road games here against the Saints, against the Titans, and against the Browns. Those should be 3 wins for you. You're better than those 3 teams. Now, I will say the Browns looked significantly better with Dylan Gabriel than they did with Joe Flacco, a quarterback, but
that'll work out well for Cincinnati, I'm sure.
Right. But I still don't understand why they don't trade for Jameis. Why aren't you trading for Jameis? It drives me crazy, but whatever. You hope you win those games, and then you have the Falcons at home. You should win that. If you rip off 4 straight wins, now you're 7-2, and you're heading into Tampa, and Tampa's a tough game. But okay, so you lose that. Now you're 7-3, and then you have the Jets at home, at Cincinnati, and the Giants, who look good tonight, but the Giants at home. Even if you only win 2 out of those 3 games, that puts you at what, 9-4? That's a playoff team. You're a playoff team, and that would be insane if you can do that. But when you're looking at the schedule and the way those teams have played and the way the Patriots have played, you feel like they should win those games, right? And I think that when you start looking around at what's there, that to me is the really fascinating thing that this is the way the Patriots have played. And it's only 5 weeks, and so there's a long way to go the rest of the way through, but it's not a fluke. I don't think you can sit there and say it's a fluke yet.
Well, the opportunity here is in front of you. It's all right there for the taking. You just got to go out there and do it.
Exactly.
People say the Saints game is a trap game. I don't feel like it's a trap game. I do feel like part of a trap game is also that you need something about an opponent that will sneak up and get you. And maybe it's the fact that the Saints force turnovers, but the game in here that screams trap game to me is that Browns game, just because you have 3 on the road right before it. And it's all right, maybe you go win those 3 and you're feeling good, and then you come back home and you're all right, here we go. And then it's a Browns team that they're not good.
That Browns game's on the road too.
No, it isn't. That's home.
Don't they have 3 straight road games? Oh, yeah, the first one was the Bills, you dummy. Right. Yep.
The Browns have Myles Garrett, and that's one of those games. It's all right, well, if Myles Garrett has just one of those takeover games, and you lay a stinker because you just you're finally home from the road trip, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a close, low scoring game, that scares me. The Saints one, I don't see the Patriots don't scare me as a road team. They seem to go on the road pretty well. May doesn't seem to get intimidated by environments. Vrabel's not going to get intimidated by environments. So many of their leaders are veterans who have played in tough environments. Stephon Diggs played in the NFC. He knows what the Superdome is like. Morgan Moses played in the NFC. He knows what the Superdome is like. These guys, Mike Vrabel won a Super Bowl in that building.
Right.
These guys know what that building is like. I just don't think they're going to get intimidated by it. I think this is one of those where you hope you get the business-like performance. Doesn't need to be a blowout, but go on the road, make it be a 2-score game by the end of the third quarter, and then just the Saints won last week 26-14, and if the Patriots, take it by a similar score, I thought that's about what I expected. I'd be pretty happy with it.
That's the hope, right? That's the hope. And then just coast in the second half. Just coast. And you don't have to win by 30 points. Like, it's not, just get, like you say, get out to a big lead and then just run the ball down their throats and work on the run game. Because the Patriots have struggled running the ball. And so build up some momentum running the ball. And I think that, that's a place that we can go here. And again, just try the best you can to not blow it. And I think the mindset is right. They're saying the right things. They have the right mindset. And so, let's see if they can then pull it off.
Yeah.
So
on a different subject before we log off.
Yes.
The tush push.
Yes.
I feel like I go on the internet today and now everyone hates. I was watching the Bruins earlier, so I don't know have the full context on what exactly happened tonight, but it seems like after an off season in which if you said you don't like the tush push, you were weak and not a real football fan. All of a sudden, if you say you like the tush push, you're weak and not a real football fan. That's what the internet's saying tonight. Where do you land on it?
So what I look at with the tush push is that if it was a cheat code, then everyone would be able to do it, right? But only the Eagles are able to do it. I guess I don't understand. Why are the Eagles the only ones that are able to do it well?
Well, people would tell you it's because they get away with false starts every time they do it. I don't know if that's actually why, but
so just do the same thing. What do you mean? Why wouldn't you just do if? And listen, maybe that's true. And I've seen the super slow mo, and it does look like they moved before. Maybe they're lined up offsides, or whatever the case may be. Fine, do that yourself. What difference does it make if they're not going to call it? Just do it. It's like a corner who is a little handsy, arguing that this guy is handsy. Well, then do the same thing. If they're not going to call it, play the same way. And so I just feel like they're very good at running it. Let them run it and try to replicate it if you can. And is it tough to stop? It's incredibly tough to stop. Do I think it's gotten in the Eagles' head a little bit? I do. I definitely do. They have not looked good the last 2 weeks. And, it's not that it's a mess over there. It is what it is. It's only, it's been 2 games, but the last 2 games have not looked good, especially from a throwing the ball standpoint. And I think that they're focused way too much on the outside noise of the tush push.
The team feels tight.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a coaching thing, or if it's a Hurts thing, what? I hope it keeps up so we can get AJ Brown to New England. That'd be pretty sweet.
He's also a mess. He's a disaster right now. Hurts is a disaster right now. He had him wide open. He had that throw tonight. I don't know if you saw it. That throw tonight to Devonta Smith. He's all by himself. That's an 89-yard touchdown. And you just can't. That's bad. It's really, really bad.
I will say if there's a world where AJ Brown gets to New England, first of all, I think all of his issues in Philly are mental, and I think Vrabel probably fixes that.
Yep.
If you have a wide receiver core with AJ Brown and the Stephon Diggs that we have seen lately, that is disgusting. That is insanity. So that would be a lot of fun. I would enjoy that a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
It probably won't, but this is the first time. Well, one thing we said, you need the quarterback, and you need our objection to trading picks has always been the team's just not good enough to do that. Yep. Patriots keep looking like this. All right, I'm going to be okay with giving up some picks if we have to. And
correct.
The Vrabel AJ Brown connection is also something that's very intriguing, and I think makes something like that more likely.
100%. I also think too, if you are going to make the playoffs, you could trade a first round pick for AJ Brown. Like, if you're going to be a top 5 pick, you can't trade a first round pick for AJ Brown. But if you're going to be in the playoffs and you're trading a top 23 pick for AJ Brown, it's a very, very, very different scenario. And so, I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, we'll see, but I think that's pretty interesting to me. Again, I can't imagine the Eagles are going to do that.
Yeah,
But if it's a situation that gets untenable, like maybe they will do it.
Yeah, the biggest issue for Philly is that if they trade him in the offseason, like it hurts their cap space for next year. They don't save any money. They take a $43 million dead cap hit for a receiver, and it does put you in this weird spot where, like, I still don't love the idea of giving up a first round pick for a receiver who's going to be 29 years old. Not necessarily the best process, especially a disgruntled receiver who's 29 years old, not coming off his best season.
Right.
The flip side of this, I think, if you're Philly, is that you're not taking a $43 million dead cap hit and not getting a first round pick back.
Yeah.
So I would say, I'm going to guess that right there is enough to make both sides come back and figure things out, and he ends up staying.
I would agree. I would agree with you. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But 2 other things. First of all, for me, I will be in New Orleans this weekend. So any Patriots fans, I've already heard from a few Patriots fans that are going to be down there. I'll be down there. I'm actually going to the LSU game as well. So I'm pumped about that. Never been to New Orleans, and so I'm excited to get down there, try some beignets, try some jambalaya, maybe get a hurricane on Bourbon Street. I'm excited about it.
Hopefully we get you back.
Yes. Well, with all I was telling people at work today, like I got to put sub plans in for Tuesday because I'm worried about the air traffic controllers because they're not getting paid right now. So if they call in sick and flights get delayed, I'm getting in midnight on Monday. And so, because we have no school Monday, but if my flight gets delayed in 3 hours, then I'm getting in at 3 a.m. Like, no chance. I'm going to work if I get in at 3 a.m. on Monday. So
there's the air traffic controllers. Have you also seen the weather forecast?
No, in New England?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's a nor'easter.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Yeah, Sunday through Tuesday, basically. So, I'm looking at high winds, lots of rain.
That's not ideal.
You might have to make some plans past Tuesday just in case.
It's not ideal. 100% chance rain on Monday. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, because I know for here with Monday off, I'll be doing the post game show. It'll just be me solo doing that. I don't know exactly what time that'll be on Sunday yet. We'll see. Play it by ear, and then my Monday is probably going to be just me sitting at home with the rain outside. Maybe I'll do some cooking or some baking or something. And
there you go. Yeah, there you go. I like it.
It's soup weather here now, and I'm loving it.
It is. That's very true. Yeah, it is soup weather. So
I made a new soup today, Pat. It's like a potato and cheese one. You cook the potato and then blend it, and then you mix it with onions and celery and some spices. And,
I like that.
Then I cooked some sausage and added that. And then the thing that made it unique to me, you pickle jalapeno slices and add those with a little bit of the pickling juice in on top. You use lime juice to pickle them, and it was pretty good. I am a fan, and I will be having a lot more this weekend.
Look at that. Yeah, we made a chicken lemon orzo soup earlier this week, which is interesting.
Love that.
So
we should start a cooking podcast on the side.
I know. Well, I've been doing a lot of cooking. Also, the other question that I'm sure Patriots fans are going to ask is Patriots legend Lil Jordan Humphrey a dude? He's a dude. 4 catches, 55 yards tonight. Okay.
One of the weirdest careers. I feel like every time he gets involved in something, he looks decent and then immediately fades.
Right.
He might be the Bobby Dahlbeck of the NFL.
Deep pull. Bobby D. Keegan would love you for giving a Bobby D shout out.
There's a fan account on Twitter that's a Bobby Dahlbeck fan account. And it's one of every time it comes up in my feed, it's one of my favorites because it's just like constantly tweeting about how he still hasn't gotten a fair shot in the pros and how he just needs one more opportunity, and I'm just dying at it. It's the most like quadruple A player to ever exist.
Crazy. Also, I went mini viral today for a Saints tweet.
Oh, you did.
Patriots uniform tracker tweeted out a picture of the Patriots and their jersey with pants and socks, and then also tweeted out a picture of the Saints, and it was their helmet and just their jersey and no pants or socks. So everyone was talking about how, whatever. I got 34,000 likes or something stupid on some stupid joke about the Saints not wearing pants this weekend, which is just so funny to me. But have you heard about Teague time? Jeff Teague time? I did not know this was a thing. Okay.
Maybe.
The internet is wild sometimes. So Jeff Teague hosts a podcast. Yeah. They also stream 2K, and someone found this thing, they made this glitch where Jeff Teague was wearing a jersey but not wearing any pants.
Okay.
And so it was literally just but it was almost like he was wearing briefs, but you could see through them, so they didn't exist, and then he just had legs underneath. And it became this big trend, and the Hawks posted a picture of Jeff Teague fit today, when it was just a Hawks Jeff Teague jersey with socks and sneakers.
Else.
The Celtics tweeted a picture of Jeff Teague's jersey with socks and sneakers, and it was I had no idea this existed, and so I tweeted this thing out, and people were responding "Oh, it's Teague time in New Orleans," and I'm like, what does Jeff Teague have to do with this? And so I went down a rabbit hole with Jeff Teague time, and I was like, what in the where did that come from? And so, anyways, it's one of those wild, stupid things. But anyways, it's just, I thought that was, I laughed at it. It was funny. It actually, I'm not going to take full credit for it, although I'll take some credit for it. The Saints actually didn't quote tweet my tweet, but quote tweeted the other tweet.
Pat's uniform tracker. Big publicity for that account. Shout out to him.
Yeah, 2.8 million views on that one tweet. Only 800 likes, so I got 34,000. No big deal. But the Saints actually quote tweeted it and was like, "We would like to inform everyone we are wearing pants and socks this week, and it is another color rush game for the Patriots this week. The Saints are wearing all black, and the Patriots are wearing all white. The first time in these jerseys they've ever worn all white, and the first time since 2017 that they wore all white in Tampa Bay.
That 1917 victory, a weird ass football game.
Yep. Yeah.
Do you like the white pants?
I don't love the white pants. I really
hate them. I don't think
the white on the gray. I thought that looked sharp. We'll see how the white on the white looks.
I don't think it looks bad. I'm just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I also think it's annoying that there's been we need to bring the silver pants back thing in the fandom for years now, and they finally they do media day in silver pants. They wear them for the first 2 weeks, and then it's psych. Now we're going back to wearing all blue and now all white. And I feel like we're gonna win, and they're just gonna be well, now these are lucky, and they're just gonna wear all blue and all white the rest of the season. And it's okay, what was the point of all of this?
Yeah. Yep.
Just if they keep winning, I won't really care.
Well, that's the thing. You win, you can wear whatever the hell you want. You can wear the Jeff Teague fit for all I care. I don't care. Just win the game.
It annoys me because it's every team's well, we want the all white so we could look cool, but it's okay, well, now every single team in the NFL has the all white, and you all look the same.
Right. Right.
Let's.
Yeah.
I'm all for mixing and matching, but the problem is that when every single team does it, now everyone just looks the same, and it's the game, and it's okay, now I have to actually try to figure out what team this is. I agree.
So let's see. Anyways, one last piece of news. I don't know if you wanted to share with everyone your news.
Oh, yeah.
From last week.
A lifetime contract over here. Yes, I am. I'm happily engaged now. As for a week now. Yeah. When I said last week that we had to do our show on Wednesday instead of Thursday, that's why. But yes, and the Patriots are now 1-0 with me as a fiance. So
that's right.
Hopefully they stay undefeated like that. That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be pretty wild. Patriots go 18-2 on the season, and it's all because Matt's getting engaged.
Love it. Let's do it.
I love it. I love it. Well, congratulations,
Unfortunately,
sir.
that would mean that we could never get married. We're just gonna have to stay engaged forever. But
You just stay engaged until the Patriots lose. That's all. I'm sure she'd understand. Listen, it is what it is. Like, you know. So, oh, goodness. Well, congratulations to you, sir. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. We appreciate you. Thank you to Tyler Dunne for coming on. Make sure you subscribe to golongtd.com and check out that Patriots article. Make sure you download, subscribe to all of the Patriots podcasts on the CLNS network. And again, it's hockey season. It's almost basketball season too. So download, subscribe to all those shows as well. CLNS covers the full gamut of all the sports, of all the Boston sports. So make sure you download, subscribe to all of those shows. For us, we appreciate you coming through. Thanks. Have a great night.
Shout out to the Bruins, 2-0 to start the season.
Yeah, the Bees.
Overtime victory tonight.
Get the dub. Love to see it. Yankees out. Love to see Yankees out. That's so good. Fantastic. The Phillies lost in just hilarious fashion.
Really, really rough night for Philly sports.
Yeah. It's just, you feel terrible. I feel awful about it.
See, one of my favorite things about Philly sports is that, like, when Philly sports do well, there's parts of their fandom that, like, remind me of Boston sports in a way that I could, like, there's a grudging respect there. And I could be like, okay, I get, like, they're celebrating is entertaining and I get it. But then their reactions when they lose are also so funny. As long as anything dramatic is happening with Philly sports, I'm entertained. I'm happy.
Yep. Exactly. I agree. So, well, on that note, we are out of here. Thank you to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Be good to each other and go Pats.